How can I reconcile that experience and those lessons learned from Lieutenant Hegseth to now Secretary Hegseth, where you say things like what you just saw here, making us equivalent on the same standards as our adversaries, doing the same things that ISIS and Al-Qaeda would do? How can you possibly reconcile that?
Hegseth spent years telling America what the military should stand for. But today, Jason Crow showed him what it actually stands for. And Hegseth couldn't even defend his own record.
Secretary Hegseth, we have a lot of things in common. In fact, our careers started the same way. We were both infantry officers. We were both platoon leaders. We both deployed our platoons to combat in a counterinsurgency environment. There are very few better leadership training grounds than that experience, and it's that experience that I want to transport us back into time, back to Lieutenant Hegseth and Lieutenant Crow. There are a lot of things that make a leader and that make a unit effective. Would you say that unit cohesion is important?
Unit cohesion amongst many is very important, yes, sir.
It's an important element. And part of that is making sure that all members of your unit felt included in that team, correct?
Far more important that every member of that unit felt capable to do the mission and united in that mission.
But that they were included and felt part of the team as well.
I wouldn't use the word inclusion, sir, but yes, they were cohering as a team, yes.
And that you reduce tension and infighting and points of tension between your platoon members so that you can focus on the mission. That was a part of the regular job.
Absolutely. That's why I've said that our diversity is our strength is the single dumbest phrase in military history.
And words are important.
Our unity is our strength. And so unity amongst members, despite differences of backgrounds, race, whatever that is.
And I agree with you on that.
Together on a mission.
And words, part of that is words are important and setting the tone is important, correct? When you're a leader.
All aspects of leadership, mostly leading by example.
Did you ever tell them your political affiliation?
Guidance.
Did you ever tell your platoon members your political affiliation?
We certainly discussed lots of topics, and I'm sure my political affiliation.
Did you ever ask them theirs?
No, their political affiliation was never a concern to me.
Because it's important that everybody feel included and that people weren't excluded, correct? That would be antithetical to leadership.
I'm sure my platoon contained Republicans, Democrats, and independents, and I had no idea what their affiliation was.
Okay, that was actually my next question, so I appreciate you answering that. You led your unit in a counterinsurgency environment, and you interacted with civilians, correct?
Interacted with members of the civilian population in Iraq, sure.
Yeah. And you were, in fact, a COIN instructor, a counterinsurgency instructor, correct?
In Afghanistan in 2011 and 2012, I was the senior counterinsurgency instructor.
And you signed off on a manual. There's actually a counterinsurgency manual that you signed off on and helped create. And your name's on that manual, correct?
We were a part of creating a lot of content at the COIN Academy, yes.
Do you remember this portion of the manual? It says, if you've killed 2 innocents, you've set yourself back more than you've moved forward. Do you still agree with that?
I would have to take a look at the manual, but obviously no one in warfare is seeking to kill innocents.
Okay. Because it's important to show why we're different from the enemy. Because we're not the enemy, right? We're different from our adversary. Would you agree with that? We have different morals and different values.
We are not the enemy, sir.
We have different morals and we have different values than the enemy.
We have a code, a uniform code of military justice.
So the answer to that is
yes.
yes.
Formations that
you're not trying to compare us to Al-Qaeda and ISIS, are you? We're different.
I know the code of the United States military and army that I signed up for.
You can't tell me whether we're different?
Right hand.
You're not willing to say we're different?
Of course we're different.
Okay, thank you.
It's absurd.
That's why I'm trying to reconcile the fact that we learned many of the same lessons as platoon leaders about unit cohesion, making sure that people were included, that we didn't ask people's political affiliation, that we interacted respectfully with civilian populations, that what a leader says matters, that the tone you set matters, that we are not the enemy, that we are different from them, we lead differently, we have different morals. How can I reconcile that experience and those lessons learned from Lieutenant Hegseth to now Secretary Hegseth, where you say things like what you just saw here, making us equivalent on the same standards as our adversaries, doing the same things that ISIS and Al-Qaeda would do. How can you possibly reconcile that? I can't. And just the other day down at Fort Bragg in our beloved 82nd Airborne Division, sitting there while we politicize the military and pull our paratroopers into politics, booing elected officials, booing politicians with whom you disagree. It's antithetical to our values, and you, sir, have changed.
Time's expired.
So here's the deal. Crow starts by highlighting their shared experiences. Both infantry officers, both deployed to combat zones, both trained in counterinsurgency. He uses that as a foundation to ask some really pointed questions about leadership, cohesion, and moral responsibility. And guys, this is where it gets interesting. Crow emphasizes how important it is for leaders to make every member of a unit feel included and part of the mission. Hegseth kinda fumbles here, trying to dodge the word inclusion, which is understandable, but it felt like a red flag. You could see Crow's point. As a leader, your words and actions matter. They shape the morale and the ethics of the people under you. That moment right there, I felt that. Then Crow moves on to one of the more shocking parts. He brings up the counterinsurgency manual that Hegseth signed off on. Specifically, a section about avoiding the killing of innocents. Crow isn't just asking about theory. He's questioning Hegseth's moral compass and whether the principles he followed in combat match the decisions he's making now. And Hegseth, while trying to explain, struggles a bit to reconcile his past with current statements and actions. Honestly, it's frustrating to watch because you want someone in that position to be crystal clear about values, especially when we're talking about national defense. Crow then zeroes in on the politicization of the military, bringing up incidents at Fort Bragg, where troops were allegedly pulled into political theatrics, booing politicians they disagreed with. And here's the kicker. Crow frames it against everything Hegseth learned in the field: unit cohesion, respect for civilians, leading by example. He's basically saying, how does this line up with what you preached as a platoon leader? And I gotta say, that line of questioning hits hard. It's about accountability, ethics, and the core mission of the military, and it really makes you think, are personal politics compromising leadership? At the end of the day, this hearing isn't just about Hegseth. It's about the broader conversation around military leadership, values, and trust. Crow is holding him accountable, reminding everyone that experience alone doesn't guarantee good leadership. You need consistency, morals, and the ability to separate personal politics from professional duty.